Welcome to Coahoma Community College's Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning podcast. I am your host, Dr. Owita McAfee. Today, our guest is Dr. Natasha Barnes. Welcome, Dr. Barnes.
Thank you, Dr. McAfee. I am glad to be a part of this podcast and to spread some information about something that is very important and I'm very passionate about.
Awesome. Let me tell the audience a little bit about you. Dr. Natasha Barnes is a career counselor consultant with her own private practice dedicated to the improvement of students' career trajectory. Dr. Barnes is also a counselor educator, where she works to enhance the career specialties of counselors in training. She serves as a co-chair of the Diversity Committee with the National Career Development Association, where she places a great focus on understanding diverse populations in their career development and planning. So let's jump right in, Dr. Barnes, with our topic of career counseling and planning. Career counseling and planning. So what is career counseling and why is it important?
Well, when I describe career counseling, I like to kind of describe it with using the analogy of someone going to a doctor's office. So counseling is a very broad topic. It's a very broad occupation, and there are different specialties that fall under counseling. So when you think about going to a doctor's office, if you go to your primary care physician, you kind of go to that person and they know a little bit about everything, but maybe not a lot about one topic. So when we talk counseling, we look at counseling as a broad topic, like going to your primary care physician. If you go to a licensed professional counselor, generally what they're going to give you is a little bit about all of the different areas of counseling. However, when you look at those different specialties, then you're going deeper into those different areas of counseling. So if you needed to, if you were having heart issues, you could go to your primary care physician and they would be able to tell you, yeah, there's something going on with your heart. But as far as actually treating that heart condition, they would have to refer you to a cardiologist. That's how counseling works. If you are having an issue with a career path or your career development or planning your career or just understanding why you're having such difficulty in your career, you could go to a licensed professional counselor or a mental health professional, and they would be able to give you some general information around that. However, if you're really seeking to treat that issue of career counsel or career development or career planning, then you would want to go to a career counselor because they would be able to get to the meat of your problem and really give you some solutions and a prescription, so to speak, that fits with your exact problem and what you're bringing to the table. So that's how I like to describe career counseling, to just kind of give people an idea of what that specialty looks like, because sometimes counseling specialties can just get clumped into one umbrella or under one umbrella, and really the specialties are there because these individuals really specialize in treating those certain areas of counseling.
Okay, so why is career counseling important for students?
Career counseling is important for students for many different reasons. And so when you think about college students, it can be important because you've got students at many different levels. You've got students that are entering college that are first year students. And so they come in with their own career issues. They come in sometimes not knowing what they want to major in. They come in sometimes not really understanding why they can't pick something and stick with it. And as you go through the years, you'll find students changing majors over and over and over because they can't really connect to one thing. So when you think career counseling, you think assessments to help them really understand where their interests lie. Assessments to help them understand their personality development and how that fits into different areas and different occupations. You think assessment to help them look at how they're thinking about careers and why they may not be able to hold down a part-time job and go to school, or why they may not be able to really decide on a career path or what may be influencing their decision and why it's not a passion for them. Sometimes students can come from families that are very influential in their career choices. However, that may not be something that they're really interested in. For myself, I can just say, coming from a family of individuals in the military, and then just having parents that didn't have a college background, I didn't really have a lot of insight on a lot of career paths. But the careers that my parents and my siblings saw as being important careers or very astute careers were the careers that were pushed on me. And so at a young age, I was taught to about being a nurse. You should be a nurse. Nurses make good money. Well, if you wanted to be a nurse and join the military, then you could go in as an officer. And I got all of this outside influence into my career path. So once I started college, that's exactly what I went into, nursing. Because why not? That's what they said I should do. It sounds good. And of course, in high school, you get a little bit of background information on these different occupations. But when your lens is kind of focused in a direction based on those outside influences, you kind of, for me, I researched the areas that people told me I should research. So when I got to college, that's what I went into. And I hated it. I got into nursing school and I was like, I don't want to do this. But I'd spent 3 years in college already. And it's like, okay, what do you do? So I had to change my major. And when I changed it to what I actually wanted to do in the very beginning. So career counseling helps clients and students to kind of avoid some of that if possible and kind of work through some of the rubbish because college is big. The college experience is a lot. And so when you think about having to process, okay, I'm leaving home. I'm going to a place that may or may not be familiar to me. I'm interacting with people who may or may not be familiar to me. I have all of these classes. My schedule looks different. Oh, and on top of that, I've got to make a decision that impacts the rest of my life as it relates to my career. So career counseling is important to students for that very reason, because we can sit down with students and really help them to process through where the root of the issue is. And once we connect to the root, then we can start treating that. We can start looking at the different assessments that can be used. We can start creating a career plan, which is specific to helping students understand and set goals to achieve whatever their career goal or process should look like. Whatever they're trying to accomplish in that short time, we can set goals to help them reach that. Career counseling is very direct, it's very focused, and it's very evidence-based. And I know that is something that is important when working with students is to use things that have worked for other students. So we're not pulling things out of the hat. We're not just taking what we think will work and applying it to students, but we're taking theories that have been evidenced to work with students. We're taking assessments that have been evidenced to work with students, and we're putting all of that together in an individualized plan that is specific to that student and their needs.
So, of course, we have career counseling here on campus at Coahoma Community College. What age do you recommend that students begin career counseling?
I say the sooner the better. And I don't necessarily say that there's an age, because we have to think about the fact that we have non-traditional students. So I definitely wouldn't say, hey, go to career counseling when you're 18 and you've got a student that came in and they're 58. I want them to know that career counseling can work for them as well. So it's not so much about the age as it is about the need. And so you go when you need it. You go when you're unclear on that career path and what's next for you. You go to relieve some of the stress that comes with trying to decide what I want to be when I grow up. And when we think about it, some of us are grown and still trying to figure out what we want to be when we grow up. So I think it's, career counseling can be used at any time, at any age, whenever the need is there.
So having said that, what about career counseling for faculty?
So career counseling for faculty kind of works the same way that it does for students, obviously, but the difference is you're already working, right? So, but you may be looking to move up in a company. You may be looking to change roles in the company. You may be looking to start your own business. You may be having issues with your boss. You may be needing some adjustment in work to really be able to function at your optimal level. So that's where career counseling can be beneficial. Consulting as well. Career consultation can be beneficial for faculty as well, because you think about workshops, trainings, these different things can be given in addition to that counseling piece to help gain some resources and some takeaways that you can use after you have received the counseling or after you have kind of processed through a plan for a career trajectory. And sometimes you may be fine where you are, but life and work is tough. And you know, as we're working in these jobs, life continues to happen to us. We don't just work and that's it. There's a lot of different roles that we play in life. So career counseling, career consultation helps us to understand how all of those roles fit together and how we can best navigate those roles so that we are functioning at our optimal level in all of the spaces. One of the things that I focus on as a career counselor and consultant is wellness, looking at our wellness as it relates to our careers, because sometimes we get so laser focused in one area and we let everything else go, not realizing that letting everything else go is going to ultimately impact that area in our careers. So I like to talk about wellness. I like to talk about mental health. We know COVID hit us all. COVID impacted us all, and we're all still trying to bounce back from COVID. And when you think about the changes that COVID made in our careers, some were for the better, but some of them took us down through there. And so understanding how your mental health can be impacted by your career, but also understanding how your mental health can impact your career is an important piece of what we do as career counselors and consultants when we're helping faculty and staff really understand their space and place in the world of work. So that's how I feel like it can be beneficial, just kind of being able to engage in those workshops and different trainings, in addition to getting some coaching around resume writing, around interviewing skills. And no, I am not encouraging anybody to leave the wonderful space of Coahoma Community College or anywhere else that you are employed. But what I am saying is, if there are some areas of dissatisfaction or some areas where you'd like to grow as an employee, career counseling and consultation can definitely be beneficial.
So can we speak to how professional development plays into career counseling?
So I think that kind of goes back to the trainings and workshops. I think that the workshops have very specific topics, but they also can be catered to the needs of the workplace. So if there is a lot of conflict going on in a workplace, career counseling and consultation can be used to bring in workshops and trainings around navigating that conflict in a way that can be conducive and productive for your employment and for your career. If there are diversity issues, and obviously we know diversity is a big thing right now and it's a hot topic, but even in being a hot topic, not many people truly understand it. And so being able to help people understand how diversity plays into your workplace, how it plays into your career, and any career at that matter, because I don't really know how you can navigate work and not include diversity and an understanding of cultural competence. So workshops can be developed around that, trainings can be developed around that. So specifically, I have some that have been outlined, but again, as career counselors and consultants, what we do is really tap into what's your need. What do you need? Where are you seeing areas of concern with your employees, with your staff, with your faculty? And then we tap into workshops and trainings that can be beneficial to address those issues.
So let's talk about some of the primary differences between career counseling and consultation.
So career counseling basically is going to get to the issue, the primary issue, but more so those personal one-to-one type of issues, those underlying issues that really need to be processed through, and then given some goals and objectives as to how we can take step-by-step actions to really meet the goals that are necessary. So sometimes career counseling, I would say, digs deeper. Career counseling is going to go into those deep issues to really help a client or clients or students understand, this is where my issue lies. These are ABC steps that I can take to accomplish what I'd like to accomplish. Consultation is a little bit more broad. When we think consultation, that can be on a, like I said, training level, a workshop level, a speaking engagement level, where it's more broad topics and giving just some pointers on these are ways that you can address certain issues in this area of your career. These are resources that you can use. But counseling really digs deeper and gets to the root of some of those issues. So consultation would maybe be some of the places where people would start. When we think about different organizations and universities and associations, they may start with bringing in someone for that consultation piece. Then, as they are able to see the deeper needs of the people that they are servicing or that are working for them, then they may look into that counseling piece to get more in depth with the issues that people are having individually or maybe as a group.
Okay. Dr. Barnes, I really appreciate the example that you gave us about, well, it was your personal example about how you changed your major. And so can we talk about some other examples of how students receiving career counseling have been more successful in meeting their goals?
Absolutely. So I talked about college students kind of on a broad scale, but I'd like to kind of tap into some of those groups that career counseling can especially be beneficial for. So when you think about student athletes, generally student athletes, some of them come in with the idea that they are a student and an athlete, but more often than not, they're an athlete first. And sometimes that can skew their view on the necessity to really understand life after athletics. We are very clear on research and statistics that say most of the college athletes are not going pro. So, what are some other areas that they can tap into? Career counseling can help them identify that. Career counseling can help them say, okay, you're interested in the sports and the athletic piece of careers. You're not really thinking you're going to go pro, but you'd still like to stay connected to that occupation in some way. So let's look at some of the occupations around that could work for you. And then let's help you to create a plan as to how you can get there, what you need to major in, the different certifications you may need to obtain. Let's look at your capability, your capacity, because the reality of it is students function at different capacities. We have some students who come and they have the capacity to be a doctor. We have some students who come and that's just not quite their capacity, but that doesn't mean they can't be successful. So as a career counselor, it is beneficial for them to come to career counseling so they can understand what success can look like for them. So student athletes are definitely students that can really benefit from this because helping them to understand you might go pro, but if you don't, then here are some alternatives. And if you do, you won't stay pro forever. So here are some alternatives. Military students is another population that I found career counseling to be very beneficial for. These students, they serve our country, and that is basically their objective. But they also want careers. And sometimes they have a difficulty understanding how to transfer those military skills into a career path that can be beneficial for them. So career counseling can help them to really see, okay, let's look at the skills that you've used in the military and how those transfer into the civilian life and civilian work. So that can be beneficial to military students because it really helps them to tie all of that together. Coming from a military family, I've seen it. And I understand how it can be difficult for military personnel to really see how those sniper skills or whatever skill set they've developed in the military transfers into the world of work, because shooting in the military is okay. Shooting in the civilian world looks like crime. So how do we help them understand the skill set behind the shooting that they do and into viable employment for them after the military or possibly while they're in the military? Some people are active duty, some people are National Guard or reservists, so they're not full-time. And so with that, they may have an additional career and the military. So helping them to just process through all of those dynamics, I think, can be very beneficial And then helping them, some students who may be on the fence about whether the military is an option for them, career counseling can help how their personality matches with different areas of the military. So that's a student population that it can definitely benefit. Talking about first-year students, I mentioned that in the beginning of my discussion about this. First-year students come in with a lot of different dynamics. And so really helping them to sit with just this college experience and understanding, okay, when I was in high school, I like to do this, this, and this, or I thought I wanted to do this, this, and this, but now I've taken a class or two in it and I don't know if I really like that. So helping them to say, okay, well, let's look at what you're interested in. Let's take some interest assessments, some personality assessments. Let's look at your GPA from high school. Let's bring all of these factors together to see what might be beneficial for you and what you might truly be interested in. Like I said, so many dynamics play a part in how first-year students come into college. You know, some of them come with no idea of what they want to do. Some come with an idea based on somebody else's idea. And some come and they're dead set on what they want to do and they accomplish that. My niece was one of those. When she started in her bachelor's program, she knew that she wanted to go into speech and audiology. And here, 4 or 5 years later, she is now in a doctoral program for speech and audiology. So some students know. And so career counseling may not be beneficial to that student, or it may be because it may actually just help them to confirm that or to understand different specialty areas or certifications that they can go into to amplify their career path. I talk to her all the time. I'm not her career counselor because that's unethical, but I talk to her all the time just to give her some insights on, okay, now how can you expand this? You're interested in audiology, and obviously you can always work for someone, but how can you look for the gaps? How can you look for holes in areas that you can fill with the knowledge that you have and the skill set that you have? So that can be beneficial even when students know what they want to do. You can help them to broaden their horizon and understanding of the different avenues as it relates to their career path. So I hope that answered your question, Dr. McAfee, just to give some insight on career counseling has been and can be beneficial to so many different student groups.
Yes, you definitely answered my question in a wonderful way. That was some good information. So how can you be reached, Dr. Barnes? How can we reach you?
I can be reached by email. I also have a website. And if you email me, you see the website in the email. My email is i.o.u.consultation@gmail.com. So i.o.u.consultation@gmail.com. To give you a little bit of insight about the IOU consultation, the title came from increasing our understanding, but obviously nobody wants to say increasing our understanding every time they're referring to somebody's practice. So I shortened it to IOU consultation, partially for that reason, but another reason is because as a student coming through my bachelor's, master's, and doctoral process, I had mentors that really helped me to understand my career path. I had mentors that really helped me to see, one specific mentor that helped me to see that career counseling was a fit for me, that it was my passion, that it was where I gelled with the counseling world, because I worked in mental health for 12 years before even realizing that career counseling was something that I wanted to do and was passionate about. But because of the mentorship that I had, I was able to shift gears and really get into an area of counseling that just settles with me. Mental health was wonderful. I did mental health. I loved it while I did it, but I never realized that something was missing until I realized it. And so because of that, I feel like I owe you and anybody that is in need of career counseling and career consultation, I owe that to them because somebody was very impactful in getting me to where I am. And so I always want to be that impact for somebody else. So I can be reached at that email address. And I don't know my website, I'm sorry. But if you email me, you can definitely get the website from there. And then you can reach me by phone. 601-255-7424 is my business number. And I am always available for consultations. I do free consultations. And then outside of that, we can definitely discuss services and how we proceed forward.
Thank you, Dr. Natasha Barnes.
Thank you.